In the garden of your life, seeds of greatness are sown, dreams that require light, water, and nurturing to blossom. But what happens when the one who claims to be the gardener, the one who admires your petals, is the one secretly poisoning your roots? This is not merely a metaphor. This is your life. You know the feeling, that slow, invisible erosion of the soul. You share news of a promotion you've worked tirelessly for. They smile, but the smile doesn't reach their eyes, and they say, "That's fantastic! Congratulations! Just be careful it doesn't consume your whole life." Suddenly, the sweet taste of victory turns to ash in your mouth. You speak of a great dream, a creative project, a new business. They listen with a face that screams caring concern, and finally they say, "That's a brilliant idea, but the market is so brutal. Are you really prepared to fail? I'm only saying this for your own good." And the flame of passion that was roaring inside you shrinks to a flickering ember. Their support always comes with a but. Their encouragement always ends with a warning. They praise you, but only up to a height that doesn't surpass their own. And the worst part, the paralyzing confusion that follows, you begin to question yourself. Maybe they're right. Maybe I am being too optimistic. Maybe I don't truly deserve it. Your energy drains away, not from a direct attack, but from 1,000 invisible pinpricks. You feel guilty for resenting their support. They mean well, you tell yourself. And slowly, these doubts become your beliefs. You start to shrink yourself to fit into the box they've built for you. This phenomenon is not an accident. It is not a simple misunderstanding. It is an ancient and dangerous psychological pattern. These are the subtle saboteurs, the architects of your gradual collapse hidden behind the mask of support and friendship. The question is not if they exist. The question is, how do you see behind the mask before it's too late? How do you detect the poison when it's offered to you in a cup of honey? The answer lies deep within psychology, in the work of one of the greatest explorers of the human soul, Carl Gustav Jung. To understand this covert betrayal, we must move beyond the surface of behavior and step into the dark basement of the human psyche. The Swiss psychiatrist and explorer Carl Jung dedicated his life to mapping this inner world. He believed that a human being is not only what they present in the light of day. Deep within each of us there exists another realm, a secondary self that we fear, deny, and chain up in the depths of our unconscious. Jung called this cellar of the soul the shadow. The shadow is the storehouse for everything we actively hide from ourselves. All the impulses, desires, and traits that conflict with our idealized self-image. Envy, greed, the inferiority complex, repressed rage, laziness, lust, and weakness. These are the exiled monsters of our personality, living in absolute darkness, in silence. To have a shadow does not mean you are evil. It means you are human. But to run from the shadow, to deny its existence, is the beginning of disaster. Because what you repress does not weaken. It becomes wild, toxic, and uncontrollable. Now think of that friend, that colleague, that family member, the subtle saboteur. Their fundamental problem is not that they are a bad person. Their problem is that they are terrified of facing their own shadow. They have never dared to open the door to that cellar and acknowledge the monsters within. As a result, their shadow has taken control. But the shadow does not act directly. It uses a deceptive and powerful defense mechanism called projection. Projection is the unconscious art of seeing your own darkness in others. It works like a film projector. The person has a reel of their own inner demons, but instead of watching it themselves, they project it onto the screen that is you. Instead of accepting their own envy of your success, they project it onto you and call it concern for your health. Instead of confronting their own fear of taking risks, they cast that fear onto you and call it
realistic advice. Their own feeling of inadequacy becomes an attempt to tear down your self-confidence so that both of you remain on the same level. They are not actually speaking to you. They are speaking to their own rejected shadow. They are punishing you for the sins they have committed in their own heart. Every time you take a step towards the light, towards success and self-actualization, your light shines a beam into their dark cellar, agitating the shadows within. Their subtle sabotage is a desperate attempt to switch off your light so they don't have to look at what they've hidden inside themselves. They destroy you to deceive themselves.
But if this is the case, why is the process so confusing, so hidden? Why doesn't it appear as an open attack? Here, Jung gives us the final piece of the puzzle, the persona. The persona is our social mask. It is the face we present to the world to be accepted, to be liked, and to appear successful. The persona is our ideal self, the loyal friend, the supportive colleague, the devoted parent. The subtle saboteur is a master of crafting a flawless, brilliant persona. Their mask is the mask of goodwill. The real tragedy occurs at this point, a silent civil war between the shining persona and the dark shadow. The persona says, "I must support my friend. It is the right thing to do." But the shadow whispers from the depths, "I cannot stand to see them surpass me. Their success reminds me of my own inferiority." What is the result of this civil war? A toxic compromise, the poisoned compliment, the paralyzing concern. This behavior allows the persona to play the role of the supporter while allowing the shadow to land its blow. This duality is the very reason you feel like you're going crazy. You are receiving love and attack in the same breath. You are feeling support and demolition at the exact same time. They are not attacking you, their shadow is, and it does so from behind a flawless mask of friendship and goodwill. They are the executioners dressed as guardian angels. You are not fighting a person. You are fighting a shadow acting through a mask. They themselves are often unaware of this mechanism. It happens automatically in the darkness of their unconscious. But their lack of awareness does not dilute the poison. Understanding these three concepts, the shadow, projection, and the persona, is the key to your liberation. This key gives you the insight to see beyond words and behaviors. It gives you the power to decode the hidden dynamics that play. Now that you understand the mechanism, it is time to learn how to recognize and neutralize it in the real world. To win a psychological war like this, you need a new set of rules.
Understanding the mechanism is the key. Now we use that key to unlock the doors of perception and read the hidden codes in the behavior of those around us. We will now reveal the 7 laws of identifying the subtle saboteur. These are the vital signs of psychic poison hidden in your daily interactions. Use them not as accusations, but as diagnostic tools. Open your eyes. Law number 1, the poisoned compliment. This is the most subtle and common weapon of the shadow. It is praise that is packaged like a beautiful gift, but contains a needle inside. They offer a compliment that makes you feel good for a moment, but immediately follow it with a phrase that undermines it, planting a seed of doubt in your mind. Imagine you have just successfully completed a major work presentation. Instead of a pure congratulation, the subtle saboteur says, "Your work was fantastic. You're so brave to present on a topic that complex without much experience." Let's dissect this statement. Your work was fantastic. That is the voice of the supportive persona. But the second part, you're so brave to present without much experience, that is the strike of the shadow. It secretly tells you you were unqualified. You got lucky. You don't really belong here. The goal is to ensure you never feel fully confident in your success. They always place an asterisk next to your achievements, an asterisk that points to your perceived weakness. Listen for these compliments. They always have a hidden but. Law number 2, concern trolling. This tactic is pure projection, delivered in the costume of love and compassion. The subtle saboteur projects their own fears and limitations onto your ambitions and calls it concern for your future. You announce with excitement that you want to start your own business. They respond with a face full of empathy. Wow, what a wonderful idea, but are you sure you have enough savings? 90% of businesses fail in the first year. I'm just worried about you. I don't want to see you get hurt. On the surface, this sounds like logical advice from a caring friend. In reality, it is their own terrified and stagnant shadow that is speaking. They do not have the courage to take risks, so they cannot bear to see that you do. By injecting you with fear, they attempt to pull you down to their own safe, immobile level. They frame your ambitions as dangerous liabilities to stop you from moving forward. Remember this. True concern empowers you. Concern trolling paralyzes you.
Law number 3, selective amnesia. The memory of the subtle saboteur has a very precise filter that works in favor of their shadow. This memory quickly forgets all of your successes, your strengths, and your victories, but it recalls your failures, your mistakes, and your moments of weakness with crystalline clarity. In a group discussion, you might refer to one of your past achievements. They stare at you blankly or quickly change the subject. But if someone mentions a small mistake you made 5 years ago, their face lights up and they recall it with perfect detail, saying, "Oh yes, I remember that perfectly. That was the time when..." This is a defense mechanism for their fragile ego. Being reminded of your success agitates the inferiority of their shadow. Therefore, their unconscious mind edits reality to maintain a narrative in which you are a flawed person in need of their guidance. Your victories are erased from their history because they conflict with the image they need to maintain their own psychic peace. Law number 4, information gatekeeping. This is a passive-aggressive and highly effective form of sabotage. They strategically withhold information, opportunities, or connections that could help you advance. They find out about a job opening that is perfect for you, or get invited to a networking event that could change your path, but they never tell you. If you find out later through other means and ask them about it, their answer is ready. "Oh wow, it totally slipped my mind. I didn't even think you'd be interested in that sort of thing." "I forgot," and "I didn't think you'd be interested" are the two sacred lies of their persona. It allows them to appear innocent while their shadow actively blocks your path. They are curating your reality to keep you within their sphere of control. They do not want you to access resources that might elevate you beyond them. Law number 5, the joy thief. The shadow cannot tolerate seeing pure, unadulterated joy. Your happiness is like a mirror that reflects its own deficiencies and disappointments back at it. Therefore, whenever you share a moment of pure happiness, they must immediately tarnish it. You say with delight, "I can't believe it, we finally bought the house we wanted." The response from a subtle saboteur is rarely a simple, "Congratulations." Instead, you hear something like, "That's great, but you know the maintenance costs on a house are insane, right? You can say goodbye to having fun." Or, "How nice, I just hope you don't have terrible neighbors." They cannot allow your joy to remain at its peak. They must immediately cast a dark cloud over it. They bring the emotional temperature of the conversation down to their own miserable level. They steal your joy because its very existence is a reminder of what they do not have.
Law number 6, humor as a weapon. Here, the shadow uses humor as a Trojan horse to deliver humiliation directly into the heart of your confidence. They target your weaknesses or insecurities and disguise it as a harmless joke. In a group of friends, when the topic of travel comes up, they might laugh and say, "Don't let this one navigate or we'll end up in another country. We all know how terrible their sense of direction is. Ha ha ha!" Everyone laughs. But this is not a joke. It is a public assessment of your weakness. The persona, the joke, allows the shadow, the humiliation, to do its work. And if you object, you're immediately put on the defensive. You're labeled as too sensitive or someone who can't take a joke. They disarm you by making your objection to their attack seem like the actual problem. Law number 7. Public praise, private poison. This is the most sophisticated and insidious maneuver of the subtle saboteur, and it reveals a very skillful shadow. In the public sphere, like on social media or in front of others, they are your biggest supporter. But in private, they inject their poison. They will comment under your success post on Instagram, "So proud of my amazing friend, you're the best." This buys their persona public credit. But a few hours later, they send you a private message. "Just wanted to say, maybe it's better to post a little less about your successes. Some people might think you're bragging. I just don't want people to get the wrong idea about you." This is a genius move by the shadow. In public, they gain the reputation of a loyal friend, reinforcing their social mask. And in private, where there are no witnesses, they poison you with doubt and shame. They protect their reputation while destroying your confidence.
Identifying these 7 laws is the critical first step. But knowledge alone is not enough. If you only focus on diagnosis, you will be trapped in an endless game of resentment and reactivity. The ultimate solution is not cutting them off or seeking revenge. The ultimate solution is an internal transformation. What Jung called the path of individuation, the process of becoming a whole, integrated, and sovereign individual who is immune to the projections of others. This path has 3 stages. Stage 1, the mirror of self-awareness. Before you point to their shadow, you must have the courage to look at your own. Ask yourself, why am I a target for this kind of behavior? What part of me allows this dynamic in? Perhaps you have a deep need for validation from others. Perhaps you are afraid of conflict and therefore you don't set clear boundaries. Perhaps a part of you doesn't believe in your own success and so you readily accept their doubts. Facing these vulnerable parts of yourself is painful, but it is the only way to take back your power. When you no longer need their approval, their poisoned compliments lose their sting. Stage 2, the shield of non-reactivity. Here we must learn from the ancient Stoics. The subtle saboteur feeds on your emotional reaction. Your anger, your sadness, and your confusion are like a victory for their shadow. It proves their arrow hit its mark. The shield of non-reactivity means making the conscious choice not to play their game. When they throw a poisoned compliment, instead of defending yourself or attacking back, respond with a simple, emotionless "thank you." When they express their paralyzing concern, say, "I appreciate your perspective. I've considered all the angles." You begin to see their behavior not as a personal attack, but as clinical data, symptoms of an inner turmoil within them. You become an observer, not a victim. In doing this, you cut off their supply. A shadow that is ignored loses its power. Stage 3, the compass of strategic boundaries. Individuation does not mean becoming a lonely island. It means intelligently managing your borders. You do not need a dramatic, theatrical confrontation. Instead, you strategically reclassify these people in your life. Someone who was once your confidant is downgraded to a friendly acquaintance. This means you no longer share your biggest dreams, your deepest fears, or your most important plans with them. You put them on an information diet. You talk to them about surface-level, general topics.
You invest your energy, your time, and your vulnerability in those who genuinely want to see you grow. This is not an act of hostility. It is a fundamental act of psychic self-preservation. You are closing the gate of your garden to the poisonous gardeners.
Our journey through this psychic labyrinth is now coming to an end. We began in a garden with poisoned roots, speaking of your confusion and the erosion of your soul. Then, with the key of Jungian psychology, we opened the cellar door of the mind, confronting the concepts of the shadow, projection, and the persona. We saw how the inner wars of others can become a war against your destiny. And finally, by drawing a map, we learned how to identify these destructive patterns and inoculate ourselves with the power of self-awareness, non-reactivity, and strategic boundaries. You must now understand this truth. The real war is not with the subtle saboteur. The real war is the one to reclaim sovereignty over your own psyche. They target you not for your weakness, but for the power they see in you and fear in themselves. Your light agitates their shadow. Their sabotage is a twisted, unintentional compliment paid to your potential. And this brings you to a final, fundamental question. A question you must ask yourself in the silence. The ultimate question is not who is trying to tear you down. It is, what magnificent thing are you building that so terrifies the shadows around you? Now it is your turn. On this channel, we are not just consuming information, we are building a community of seekers. If you have faced these shadows, if these words have resonated in your soul, write the word shadow in the comments below and share one of the 7 signs you have recognized in your own life without using any names. Let others know that they are not alone in this fight. Every comment is a lighthouse for someone else in the dark. And your journey does not end here. This was only the first step. Now that you can identify the saboteur without, it is time to face an even more complex and powerful adversary, the enemy within. In our next videos, we will go deeper into this very topic, the inner enemy, how to conquer your own self-sabotage. We will explore the shadows inside ourselves and learn how to overcome the patterns that hold us back from our own greatness. To continue your journey toward complete self-mastery, click the video that now appears on your screen. Do not hesitate. The next battle awaits.